Hello, I'm Cameron.
I'm Cindy.
And welcome to Homeschool Roots. So today we're going to talk about how to set up your classroom. This is the number one question that new homeschoolers want to know, and it's a lot more complex than you think. So first, number one is you need to make sure you have a workplace. Now, I personally recommend that you have a classroom, of course, if you have the space and the resources to have one. And that's just because we want to make sure that our kids are focused and paying attention. Whereas if you're just having them on their bed, just typing, it's going to be more difficult for them to pay attention. Think about for you and your job. There's a reason that companies invest the money to have an office and keep it nice, because they want to keep their workers more productive. So to think about having your kid at his most or productive level, try to have a segregated space that is school.
Yes, great idea. People need a workplace that when they're there, they know they're there to work and not to play.
I agree. Okay, so and number two, of course, is you need to have materials that are just for school, and use favorites if possible.
Right. It always helped us in our schoolroom if the materials that the girls were using, even down to pens and pencils. Kids are like adults in that way. We all have a favorite pen or a favorite kind of pen or pencil. I myself love mechanical pencils with a 0.9 millimeter lead, not a 0.5.
Very
it breaks
specific.
too easy. Yeah. And when you have your favorites, use them for school and put them away and only use them for school, because it's more than just about having the right tools to use. It's a mental switch in your mind that where you are and the materials you're using are for school. And even things like water bottles or backpacks, if your child is taking things, from one place to another, it can be really a good mental break if they are only using those things for school. And also if they are the favorite things, the favorite backpack, the favorite water bottle, like the favorite pen and pencil or notebook or whatever it is, it can help them look forward to their schoolwork, not just, that there's nothing special about it. So those things can make a difference.
I agree totally. And this one is actually very important, a lot more important than some parents realize, is have attractive and engaging displays. This is really important because, just for example, I remember when I was in school, there was this map of the world. It was like a really nice, colorful map, and I would just stare at it. Because I love traveling. So I was like, oh, I want to go there, I want to go there. And I'll never forget, for example, when I was 10 years old, my grandma bought me a globe for Christmas, and I would just love spinning that globe, and me and my sister would say, oh, I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna go to South America. It's always been in my blood. So just having an engaging display can really, really spark your child's interest a lot more than we may realize.
Yes, and things like maps, or if you're working with multiplication facts or certain grammar rules, the things that you're studying, if you have those in a display on the wall, they can be good reinforcements to your child that they just see every day. And even if you don't have, a separate schoolroom, you can put your word of the week on the refrigerator with magnets, or someplace where you're going to see it, and maybe keep a count of how many times during the week you can catch each other using the new word of the week. So as fun and engaging, bright, happy, eye-catching, as good as you can make it, let's do the very best for our homeschool kids.
And finally, we want to talk about something that is a new issue, but it's one that absolutely must be addressed, and addressed in the proper way. And that is to protect your homeschool from social media and phones. We both do not believe in having phones or anything like that at homeschool. Just like employers, they don't want you using Facebook at work. That's technically stealing from your employer because you're supposed to be working. We don't want Facebook in our homeschool. If they are taking online courses, there's some software, and we'll leave some links in the description for that, where you can go and they cannot access any sites that you don't approve of for those certain times, because you want to make sure that your child does develop that tendency to be able to focus and to pay attention while they are in school.
Yes. I really encourage you to have the phone away from the child during school. Your student will probably argue with you and say, well, it's in my back pocket, I can't even see it. But they get notifications that make the phone vibrate, and they know that there are things that they want to look at and that they want to see. And all of those things are interruptions and distractions, and you know yourself that when you're working and concentrating on something, an interruption is twice as difficult to get back to where you were in your work mentally. And so in our school we had a wall pocket chart that hung on the wall by the door, and the girls would just drop their phone into a pocket with their name on it. They weren't all mixed together, so nobody had to worry about someone else, looking at their messages and all those things. But you can handle it in whatever way. The main idea is to get the phone away from them where they can't hear it and where they can't feel a vibrating notification.
And this is actually one of the reasons why we're not huge fans of online school either. I mean, there are some subjects where I think it's convenient, especially if you want to get a teacher or something like that. But we want to encourage our kids to be able to focus, and just there's numerous studies that show that a child's developing brain mixed with screens all the time is just not good. And anecdotally, I can tell you, I've been in many homes, and every home I've been to where they did not have a television, the children were doing very well. And this crossed all income levels, class levels, racial levels, everything. There's just something about screens I think that can be very detrimental to the development of a child's brain. So I definitely recommend just limiting their screen time as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, screens can be addictive.
They are
They
addictive.
can prevent a child from being able to focus for longer periods of time. Old school reading is much better, but make sure you're modeling that behavior too. Do your children see a book in your hands
Exactly.
very often, or are you always on your phone? Are there times when, not just when you're in school or at work, but times when you disengage from your phone, that they can see that life is possible without having your phone in your hand, and at meal times and other times during the day, or maybe even having a break. We had every now and then a day where we put the phones away and turned them off so you wouldn't hear them ring, or you couldn't just go, press a button and check in really fast, where you can take a breather, a sabbatical from your phone. And those are good things for
Family
us to
bonding.
build into our life. That's right.
Yeah, I think I'm a big fan of that. No phone days where you guys just go out as a family, maybe do a canoeing or just something together. That would be great, because that's gonna help reduce your discipline problems that you may have in some of your homeschool. All these things are related. So we want to make sure that you understand that this is not just in a bottle, isolated incident. So if you're having discipline problems, there's probably other things that are connected to it that are causing those problems. And so we want to make sure that you have everything just set up in a way so you're giving your child the best chance so he can or she can learn and become a good, productive citizen. Anything else you want to say?
No, that's great.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do something special for you, and we're actually going to give you a tour of Cindy's homeschool. And so you can see that we practice what we preach. So here, come on, follow me. All right, so we're about to go into Cindy's homeschool. All right, let's take a look. You wanna come? All right, so welcome to Homeschool Cindy. So,
well, this is the workstation for the other teacher that comes to our home that does some of the homeschooling. We've always had a bookshelf for every person who's in the schoolroom, and they keep their own things on it. Other people don't use it. So this is her shelf with teaching materials and whatever supplies she needs. But also all of our students have their own bookshelf and they keep their supplies and their belongings. It's kind of like a locker for them. This is a board that I had made. It is metallic, but it also can be used as a marker board, a whiteboard. And so it's very versatile in that way because most of the whiteboards that you buy are not metallic. And so you can put things sometimes on the frame, but you can't attach magnets or anything to the board itself. And I had seen a picture somewhere of a magnetized whiteboard, and so I had one made. And it's been really useful because then it's multi-purpose. Another thing we have used that I really liked is getting a thick piece of glass, like you might have put on a tabletop, not a thin one, a really safety glass thick, and having it mounted to the wall and using it as a whiteboard. Also, it cleans off easily. You can write on it, but another advantage is putting tape on it. It's very easy to get the tape off, and with a whiteboard, sometimes you pull the white finish off when you rip the tape off, or in scrubbing, when you're cleaning it with a whiteboard, sometimes the white finish will come off, but if you have a glass, it doesn't do that. You can scrub it as hard as you want. And also, then if your walls are white, you've got a nice white finish, surface to use. So we have done that too. With that option, you really need to get someone who knows what they're doing to hang it because you don't want that thing to fall. So you need to figure out how you're going to mount it to the wall so that it can't come down. We've got some cabinets because we need a lot of supplies. We have, you need batteries if you've got remotes even, but all the electronics, you need batteries, you need extra cables, the extra power cords that you might need around the room, so there should be a place centrally located in your schoolroom where you or the students can get to them easily, so that you don't have to stop the whole class to go get, your markers, or we've got tape and lots of tape dispensers, of course, and staplers and hole punches, a variety of kinds of paper clips and binder clips and labels to put on things. And then our top shelf is for cleaning supplies, first aid supplies. If you know that you should always have basic first aid supplies in your schoolroom as well as somewhere else in your home, so you don't have to run to another room or run downstairs every time you need a Band-Aid or a Tylenol.
And it comes up more than you think, by the way.
Yes, it does. We have a printer and scanner, that's really useful. It's wireless, so everybody can print from their own computer.
Machine, yeah.
And that's really served us well. I have never bought a color printer that's a black and white, but it's easy here in our situation to have things printed at low cost. So anything I want printed in full color, I just take out to a print shop.
It's cheap.
Yeah, most things are just, paper. This is my shelf, and then we also have a world map that we've used for many years, and for a long time I had one that was from Sunlight Curriculum that's actually laminated with a material that's particularly good for marking the map and then wiping it off. Not all plastics are the same, and you may think that that's going to be true, with anything you get. It's not true. So you want to get a map that will stand up to that, or take it someplace again here, but tell them ahead of time that you want to be able to mark on it with washable markers, so that you get a good quality laminating on it, so you can mark on the map.
So then you have your desk here.
Yes.
And and we talked about one of the reasons you want to have two is because so she can still be here monitoring what's going on when she has her tutor teaching, but at the same time she's not like sitting there with the kids, so the teacher doesn't necessarily feel a little intimidated, but she can still listen what's going on. She's not interrupting the teacher, but she's able to make sure that what should be happening is happening.
And it's good because then I have a workspace. I don't just have to sit from the side and watch. I can be doing my work or other things that I need to be doing. But again, I'm accessible and I can hear what's happening. When we set up our room, we have whiteboards on more than one wall. We used to have whiteboards on opposite walls so that if Stephanie was teaching one subject with one or two students on that side of the room, I could be on the other side of the room also teaching at the same time. Now we had to really work together. Both of us have voices that carry, and so we had to really be careful and remember that we're only talking to one or two students. We're not projecting to a classroom of 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so tell us about these books right here.
Well, this is a writing curriculum that I have that I use, and then most of these are study books. As our girls have gotten older, less and less of the books are needed for homeschool anymore. But every class you have will usually have a teacher's manual, a book of tests and quizzes that the teacher keeps as well, in addition to the books that the student needs. So you need to have sufficient space or storage, someplace that you keep those things together.
And you also have a microscope, right? Let's see that.
Yeah, it's up here.
Okay, well that's all right then.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, she has a microscope. I mean, that's what we said. We don't. This is not necessarily to save money. I mean, you're gonna have to put down some cash.
Yes, and I really do. We've covered that before, but it's not a good idea to homeschool in order to save money. We need to approach it from a whole different mindset, that we're doing the very best for our kids. And that means you will have to invest in some things.
And it's worth it.
Good curriculum is not cheap. And especially if you have a lot of manipulatives or learning, materials that go along with it. And some of the best curriculum does. It's colorful, engaging, it shows the concepts in a clear way, but it also costs money to get all those things. We also, in addition to the microscope, invested in buying prepared lab specimens for dissection. And so our girls dissected, of course, a frog, a fish, a cow eye, a fetal pig, and I'm not sure what a heart. There was a heart of some animal and a brain, I think.
How much would you say that you put down for all this?
Over time, thousands of dollars, no doubt about it, because we had 5 girls. If you even spend $2,000 per year per student on your homeschooling, which is not a lot of money, trust me, I know that sounds like a lot, but it's not a lot of money. If you do online school, most of them, even one class for the full year will be between $500 and $600 US. Well, they don't need just one class, they need 6 classes, or at least 4 if you're going to do your core subjects of math, English, science, and history. That's a significant, and that's the tuition, not the books.
And it'll make it, by the way, and we're not trying to scare anybody, but it'll make it easier for everybody, including you, if you are just willing to pay for the investment and have what you need to have a good homeschool.
Yes. Decide what you really need and then work on pursuing that. Rather than starting from the mindset of, I only have this much, so instead start with, what do you need? What's going to make your school the very best? What's the best you can offer? And then, as a person of faith, pray over that. Ask God to show you how to make that investment and to provide for it. And then do the very best that you can.